It's because you're fat. Not physically fat, but corporate fat, corporate bloat. You're running a recruitment business like as if it's a cargo ship, and it's really difficult to change direction. It's really hard to do any kind of change because if you change something, then either the recruiters are going to get upset, the billing managers are going to get upset, you're going to break some system. Like we've already got some stuff going, we can see good revenue coming in, but the profit just still isn't there. And now when you look at everything that you've got, it's load of tools, job boards, load of recruiters, headcount is there, revenue is there, everybody is billing well. The profit still just doesn't make sense. And now you find yourself in a situation where it's sluggish to make decisions. Everything takes a little bit longer than what it really should. And you stand firm by, well, this is working. It has always worked and we will continue to make it work. And you're right, it will work and it will continue to work. However, you're going to be looking around and you're going to be seeing independent recruiters popping up in your niche and you're thinking, damn man, I spent a lot of time dominating this niche and I've owned it for a long time. We're doing, or we're even on track to do over 1 million a year, maybe even up to 10 million a year. But these little independent firms, they just pop up in our niche and then they start working with the clients that took us years to business develop. And this isn't just happening in recruitment, it's actually happening in multiple industries. One that's more commonly noticed is your real estate, commercial, residential, lettings and sales agents, where once upon a time it was always the bigger ones, and then you saw a lot of mid-range firms, and now you're finding independent people who are focused on literally one city or one location, and they share the deals that are available in their niche and in their market. Same shift is also taking place in recruitment. So then naturally, as a business owner and a founder, we turn to people who we can get advice from. And in recruitment, we're always told, stay close to the money. But the people that we're turning to advice for, like the marketing agencies and the NEDs of the world, they're closer to retirement than they are to their last placement. Some of them haven't billed in years. Some of them are juggling 1,001 different projects. And almost all of them are not even running a recruitment business. And they ride off your insecurities, which will lead them up to retirement. So you have to ask yourself, are you using the recruitment playbook from the 90s? And you're hoping that that's the same work that you're going to have to do over and over again, repeat it, hire more recruiters, and then expand the team that way until it gets too much to manage, and then hire a billing manager, and then you've got a triangular type organization and copy and paste that in as many different geographic locations and niches as you possibly can, because that's going to help you make more money. Well, yeah, it will, because your revenue will increase. But at the end of it, you're still operating sub 40% profit margins. You know what that means? That means it's 2 bad months and we've got a serious problem. So if you are a recruitment agency who's at the beginner stages, this video might not make sense, might even do a little bit of damage. But I'm effectively talking about some of the challenges that different recruitment agencies face from my own experience of working in, running and operating my own recruitment agency. And I'm not talking about the beginner stages. I'm talking about you've already nailed down your niche. You're already making good money. You've even hired a team. You've become a specialist in your niche. There's only really a handful of competitors who do a similar kind of thing or operate at a similar level to you. But revenue, profit is flatlining. You're at your desk every single day, glued to your phone, your laptop. Your team is very demanding of you. And the dream of running a business where it feeds into your personal life, your free time, all of that is out the window because now you're 100% in the business. And now it's just hit you that reputation does not equal revenue. So now when you look at some of the go-to investment strategies like LinkedIn Recruiter, more job boards, more recruiters, more AI and automation tool subscriptions, like all of these things are cost. So why don't we just break it down? If you've got a business that operates on a job board, LinkedIn Recruiter, a few tools, not to mention your CRM, and you might as well have a phenomenal training program and structure to onboard recruiters and train them. But at the end of it, that recruiter has to do a bare minimum of 100, 120K in their first year when you hire them, because if they don't, then they're going to be delivering like less than 40% in terms of a profit margin. And yes, that's nice to see it on your revenue, but what does that mean for your bottom line and what does that mean for your pay as an owner? And the risk that I mentioned earlier, well, it's 2 bad months and it's not really worth continuing. That's not a scalable business model. It probably was when these tools were brand new and nobody knew about them and you were new into the market, but now what? Is there such a thing? So when you total up all of these costs, it's like the math just does not work. And now that you're giving them more tools, more strategies, they don't have the time in the day to even do it. Like just think about the typical recruiter's day. And I'm talking about this at grassroots level when it comes to recruiters, because they are the lifeblood of a recruitment business. If you don't have recruiters and you don't have a team that is performing well, then guess what? It's the higher billers that are carrying the lower billers. But regardless of which way you look at it, one bad quarter, while recruiters are working a stupid amount of overtime, and you have to consider that an employed recruiter does not have the same driver and motivation as an employee. An employed recruiter does not have the same motivation as an owner of a business, because you were the one that sacrificed the 100-hour work weeks and the time with your family and the investment and took on the entire risk. And you are prepared to do that because you are the business owner. Like, this is your dream. This is your baby. This is everything that you would care for. And this is everything that you've been looking forward to building. Except the recruiters are not going to be prepared to do that. And I believe this is one of the reasons why there's such a high churn rate in recruitment. Not because AI is taking over, but because the job is set up for burnout. Imagine it, like coming in first thing in the morning. First, you got to go through all of your applications, and it's 2 hours worth of business development. Then you got to organize all your interviews in between that. Then you got to take some candidate calls. Then you're going to go through the job boards to check everything. And to do that, you're working through your lunch break, barely get any time off. You need to do a second round of 2 hours worth of business development calls and candidate calls in the afternoon, to then have to respond back to all of your emails, not to mention sending them, only to write job ads right in the evening, because that's not a priority at the end of the day, to take a few more candidate calls who are cancelling their interviews first thing in the morning. Even if you start at 8 and finish at 7, there's still stuff to do. And you'll hear this time and time again, every single recruiter, that this just doesn't seem to be enough time to get everything done. So an industry at large that is literally set up for failure, if not burn, how do you expect to grow a sustainable business? Like, there's a certain type of person that would enjoy that kind of working environment, but certainly not for everyone. And we certainly can't expect our employees to have the same work ethic as a business owner, where we're prepared to drop things on the weekend to make things work. And that's exactly why this is not an issue to do with scaling a team. You already know how to do that. This isn't an issue to do with layering teams and building layers of management, because you already know how to do that. This isn't even about recruitment, because you already know how to win clients, book in interviews, and get placements. And even better, that you know how to train other people to do it really well. The issue is, like I said at the beginning, it's because you're fat, corporate fat, organizational bloat, too many layers of management. You've become a ship sailing in the ocean, and it's really difficult now to turn around or change direction. And when you're looking at some of these software subscriptions, yeah, $99 a month doesn't seem too bad when you're a one man or a team below 10 employees. But as you begin to grow and you're a team of 20, 30, or even 50, now it becomes a serious problem. Now you have to rethink your decision making, because this has an impact across the entire business. And it's not just a case of, okay, this $99 a month tool is going to help provide another one placement. Like, how many other tools are you going to adopt where this $99 or £1,000 a month type tool is going to result in one placement and we make all of our money back? Yeah, man, every tool allows that. How many tools are you going to adopt? How many more things are you going to add to your recruiter's day-to-day workload, where they're already working from 8 till 7, and now you're going to give them one more thing so that they can work until, what, 8, 9 p.m.? And you're wondering why you're receiving resignations? They have a life. So do you. So the question is, how do you tactically manage the entire operation where it's profitable at grassroots level down to every single recruiter, where they're happy, they're not burnt out, they're not overworked, and neither are you? Because if you were a lean and profitable agency that is nimble enough to change direction whenever market shifts take place, then none of this would be a problem. And if your team could crack on with everything that they were doing without them running everything by you or just checking in on everything with you, none of this would be a problem. And that's exactly why I believe that everything needs to be trimmed back, because the way that recruitment agencies were grown in the 90s and the early 2000s and 2010s is not the same way today. Because back then, once upon a time, some recruiters started with a Rolodex. Then they moved into using a CRM. Then LinkedIn came out of nowhere. Like, I started in recruitment in 2013 and LinkedIn was just about kicking off. I can still remember being able to send over 100 connections in a day and there were no issues whatsoever. Obviously, things have changed since then. And then eventually they started to restrict things, and then premium accounts came out, and then LinkedIn Recruiter came out. I can still remember when it used to cost £200 a month here in the UK for a LinkedIn Recruiter license. And everybody knows that you get a slightly different price depending on who your customer relationship manager is. But I've heard of some agencies paying north of £1,500 a month. That's nearly $2,000 a month. So now when you stack it all up, $2,000 plus $2,000 to $3,000 for the recruiter's wage, not including office, rent, bills, and everything else. And don't even get me started on tax. That's a whole new conversation. We'll save that for another day. Not only is the job now set up for the recruiter to burn out, but it's also set up that you have to make a bare minimum of 200K just to keep the business alive. And yes, it's nice to have only high performers in a team, but not everybody is like that. They don't perform really high or really well in their first year. Sometimes it takes a bit of time for them to bed in, but we don't have time for that. We need them billing in the first 30 days, otherwise there's no point. And that's why the tools aren't necessarily the answer, because every new tool means another login, another workflow, another KPI, and another thing that you now have to police just to make sure everybody is doing it properly, because they're not using all of their LinkedIn emails, they're not using job boards properly, they're not even using their CRM properly, they're not making notes properly. And now you've given them one more thing to say, you know what, do this as well on top of your 8 till 7 shift. And once you've seen the resignations, now you're thinking, guess what? I need to replace all of these people. Brand new problem. Now we've got a churn rate in a business that was meant to be a profitable, sustainable, and growing business, which is what everybody sets out to do at the beginning, right? So I'm going to say this much. More likes on your LinkedIn posts are not going to improve your bottom line. More tools aren't either. Taking advice from people who are closer to retirement than their last placement isn't going to help you. Taking advice from people who don't even run a recruitment business isn't going to help you. And hiring a marketing agency, gosh, they don't even understand recruitment. And the ones that do, what are they telling you? To send regular LinkedIn connections and post more on LinkedIn? Do we get into this to become influencers or recruiters? So one thing that I'm hoping to do from this video is that it might prompt some thoughts. And those thoughts are going to be that you need a ruthless audit of everything from cost, time, and impact. Because it's so easy to look at things just from a cost variable, but what about the time that it takes to actually make use of the tool? No different to running a car. It's all well and good buying a car that's really cheap, but if it's always in the garage because it needs repairing, then guess what? The reliability is a problem. Similarly, in recruitment, you may well get a tool that helps you save some time and helps generate a few more candidates or clients, but if it also takes several hours or even another full-time employee just to manage and operate, then that's another cost that you're not factoring. And the time that it takes you to get all this stuff up and running. And not only that, but when was the last time that we paid attention to the actual metrics in the business? So if we're spending X amount on this particular tool, how many placements can we trace back to that one particular tool? Whether that's a job board, events, like I'm saying tools in the metaphorical sense, it's literally whatever you're using to get your job done. And we also have to question a few decisions in terms of why are we still in the middle of absolutely everything, to the point that no matter what happens in the team, it has to be run by me or you, and nothing happens in the business unless we're actually fully in control and saying, make sure this is done. Like, we've got to attend the daily huddles with the team to make sure that they're motivated, because heck man, what happened to self-motivation? So I'm hoping this video has prompted some thoughts just to reconsider the way recruitment businesses are structured and run in the modern day. And with the plethora of tools and tactics and strategies that are available, that you sometimes look on the outside and you just have to question, like, is this even worth it? And I went through this journey myself. We started to hire a load of recruiters. We were using job boards, LinkedIn Recruiter, attending events, countless cold calls. And what I found was that the recruiters had their own problems. And then there was me as a billing manager. And the only way that I could grow was to hire a billing manager in between to layer. I was the billing manager, basically. So if I had a layer of management in between, that would free up my time and then I could grow the organization. But I didn't, because the profit wasn't there. Why would I operate a business and an organization with 30% profit margins? It's not worth it. It's not worth the headache. I put in too much into this business and I sacrificed too much to get it to where it is today, and I refused to do it. So reconfigured, re-strategized on a few things. And one thing that I can say for sure, certainly for myself and all the clients that I've worked with, is more tools, more recruiters, more likes on your LinkedIn posts, more ad spend, more job ads. These things, yes, you can do more of them, but there's a point at which there is diminishing return. Just like going to the gym. If you train the same muscle group every single day, is that the best way to train? No, it's more like 2 to 3 times a week is the sweet spot. Once a week is on the lower, 3 times a week, brilliant. 5 times a week, bit too much. But when you're in the middle of everything and you're running the recruitment business where you're literally exercising every single muscle group, every single tool, every single tactic, every single strategy, every single day of the week, how do you measure which one's performing and which one's not? It becomes really difficult. And I'm so grateful on reflection that I actually dodged that experience, because that's where we were heading. COVID now I see as a blessing, despite the challenges that it brought, but it gave us plenty of time to reflect and think back. So now we're not KPI driven. We're not focused on one particular tool, tactic, or strategy. Neither do our recruiters. Like, they barely work full-time hours. Monday mornings they're off, and most Friday afternoons it's an easier finish. Almost never work overtime hours. They still bill well. They earn well, so they're happy in their jobs. And you can see all of this on LinkedIn. Like, most of the team have been with us 5+ years. And I stopped paying attention to what everyone else is doing and how quickly that they're growing their deal. Like, how quickly can we scale? Who cares, man, how quickly you can scale? And considering that, I decided to prioritize peace and profit. And when that happened, all of a sudden everything else became a little bit easier and smoother. So if you want to know some of the details of what I've done in my recruitment business, then I've actually put together a video explainer of the things that I've done literally from grassroots level, including the growth of it. And you'll see that below this video. But take a moment to reflect, think back, and just ask yourself the question, the business that you're running today, is this the one that you dreamed of? And now that the sun is starting to come in, I'm probably looking a lot darker because I've got a lot of glare coming in from the background. But nonetheless, just ask yourself, is this the business that I was hoping to grow? Is this the business that one day I could step back from? Is this the business that I could one day sell? And the answer is probably no, because you're fully engrossed in the actual business itself. So if you want to know some of the things that I've done and what I've worked on in my own business, then go and check out that video, have a watch of it. Hopefully you found this enjoyable. And I'm talking more to and from the experience of recruitment agency owners who are doing above, I'm going to say 500,000 a year, right the way up to 10 million a year, because the systems remain very similar throughout that growth phase. And if you've enjoyed the video, just let me know and I can make more like it, because some of my previous videos, I've made more of them talking more about the tactical elements of recruiters, where it kind of appeals to more smaller firms. So if you enjoyed this video, let me, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.